You're now listening to Loggers Tech Talks from Swamp Fox Insurance Agency.
All right, my name is Tank Bryant. I'm with Swamp Fox Insurance Agency, and I'm here with Ed Bruser from Bendix. So want to welcome him to our Summit podcast. Summit is a loggers technology conference sponsored by Swamp Fox Agency. Swamp Fox specializes in insuring loggers and their fleets throughout the southeastern United States. So Mr. Ed Bruser with Bendix, like I said, appreciate you coming on the podcast this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you do over at Bendix, and give us a little bit of background about your company?
Sure. I moved here from the Northwest, lived in Oregon and Washington for 40 years, so I know a little bit about logging. There's just a little bit of it going on up there. And moved down here about a year and a half ago. Couldn't be happier. We love it down here. As far as my background, born and raised in the suburbs of Chicago. 18, took off for Southern California for college, and then went up to the Northwest chasing my high school sweetheart.
Okay.
And lived there up until about a year and a half ago. Been with Bendix for 15 years. Bendix is a brake and safety company. Most people know us as a brake company, but we have moved into the safety end of things like collision mitigation, lane departure, and basically infancy of autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
So both steering and brakes, our new technology will mitigate accidents if you're distracted or not paying attention. It will warn you if you're going out of a lane. It will warn you if you're speeding. It actually reads street signs, and it just keeps an eye on the road in front of you. We used to call it Wingman. It's now called Fusion, which is a fusion between the radar and the camera.
Okay.
And are able to kind of be a second set of eyes in the truck for the driver, not replacing the driver, but just helping him or her to reduce accidents and mitigate, accidents from happening.
Okay. Now, I have spoken with a couple guys, throughout the last couple of days, and one of the things that I've had to learn a lot about is the autonomous vehicles and the driverless vehicles. What role would Bendix play in that space?
Well, component manufacturer, mostly braking and safety, systems that would be needed for that autonomous truck to be able to operate.
Okay.
So everything from, steering, brakes, the radar, collision mitigation system, all of those would be supplied by Bendix.
Okay. Now, and I won't say I'm a mechanic, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm a truck expert or a brake expert, but exactly. When I think of brakes, the only brakes I can think of is the disc brakes. Now, can you tell me a little bit about the difference between what you're doing and what currently be on a standard truck that I'm thinking about?
Well, drum brake technology is 70, 80 years old.
Yes.
We and our counterpart tried disc brakes in the 80s, and we really didn't. We brought it to market too quick.
Okay.
And had some problems with it. We have since fixed those problems, and now disc brake is probably 50% of the take rate on a new truck. Very popular and standard on most new trucks. The stopping ability, the biggest key. When you can stop a truck almost half the distance that you could before with a drum brake, obviously that truck's a lot safer and a lot easier to drive for a driver.
Okay.
So the disc brake has become very popular.
Okay. Now, what are the leading features of your product?
Well, stopping distance, of course, but as far as features go, we use a special chamber that the spring inside the chamber never touches itself, so it doesn't corrode, rub against itself, or rust. We have a dual piston design that's the lightest on the market. We have been in the disc brake business for 40 years now in Europe. Our parent company, Knorr-Bremse, has been putting disc brakes on trucks over there for 40 years, and we have a lot of experience with that. We've had disc brake trucks now in the United States since 2006.
Okay.
Just over the last few years, it's really kind of taken hold. One of the things is reduced stopping distance. When that rule came out from the federal government in August of 2011, stating that the stopping distance of a truck had to be down to 250 feet instead of 355 feet. We were barely able to get that to happen with drum brake, just barely. And the brakes were so aggressive that such heavy metallic that they would glaze over quickly if you didn't drive the truck more aggressively or stop it more aggressively. It was designed to stop 30% quicker, but most people aren't going to do that. So the brakes would glaze over, and there were some pretty hefty warranties that were put on these trucks, and dealers were having to do brake jobs under warranty, and they didn't really care for that much. So with the disc brake, we don't get that glazing, and it stops well within the stopping distance rules. So that's what really propelled this into it being a very popular product.
Okay. Now, here we specialize, and there's a lot. Most of who we deal with are going to be loggers, going in and out of the woods, off-road, a lot of dirt roads and rough terrain. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference or the durability? Or I just want to make sure our listeners understand how your product would fare coming in and out of the woods, coming in and out of unpaved roads, and that wear and tear that we would normally see on a truck, the difference in a truck being off-road as a truck being on, a paved highway doing long hauls, interstate type runs.
Well, first of all, there's quite a few less moving parts in a disc brake. Everything is sealed. No slack adjusters, push rods, 90-degree rules, 3/8 to 5/8 free play, things such as that. All of that goes away. The only suggestion that we have for folks going off-road is there's a shield, and I'm not a big fan of shields on brakes, but a shield that covers the top of the pads to keep debris from dropping down on the top of the pads where they meet the rotor. And those shields have proven, even in places like the Hall Road and from Fairbanks to Prudhoe Bay, which is the worst possible conditions you could imagine, we're able to triple the life of the pads by using that shield. And I would suggest if anybody that decides to go with disc brake on a log truck, that those shields would be an important feature to add.
Okay.
Other than that, we've had great luck with them. And really, once someone gets in and stops a vehicle with disc brake, they really don't want to go back. Okay. It's so much more dramatic of a stop, quicker of a stop.
Okay. And, one of the things that I hear all the time, from truckers, loggers, pretty much anybody in the transportation industry right now, price is a huge factor in almost every decision they make. You got safety and you got price. Could you tell us a little bit about how your product would price-wise compare to what the standard product would cost?
Well, of late, we have found that, we started out, we were, standard on the steer, and it cost, a couple $1,000s to have it put on the back. But that has now changed, and we're now standard all the way around on most tractors.
Okay.
And there's a small discount if you go back to drum.
Okay.
It's minimal, it's less than $100.
Okay.
So for someone to decide to go back to drum with this technology really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay. And that makes sense. That was kind of I didn't know it was a huge price difference, but for what you described, it sounds like the price would definitely be in line.
Yes.
So once again, definitely, Mr. Ed, appreciate you coming in here, speaking with us this morning. I hope our listeners got a little bit more knowledge about Bendix and your company. And once again, we do appreciate you taking the time to speak with me this morning. And once again, appreciate you for attending the summit this weekend.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to hit that follow button on YouTube for more great content from Swamp Fox Insurance Agency.